Fortnite's Star Wars event is going to take us into the future of the game, and it is changing big time. Today we're looking at 25 things that have evolved Fortnite, and that starts with the end of this season. So who remembers when Star Wars first appeared in Chapter 2 with a live event we have never had before? We got our favorite characters, lightsabers, but at the end of the day, most people look back on this and think it was just a weird time when Jeff Keighley was there for some reason and we watched a boring clip from a film. In reality, people wanted to use lightsabers more often, they wanted more and more characters, so Epic decided to convert this into a yearly tradition. On May the 4th, we get an annual Star Wars event with brand new skins, weapons, and sometimes even a mini pass. As we got more modes like LEGO Fortnite and Festival, even those joined in on the action with Star Wars themed instruments and a whole LEGO season. But it wasn't until recently that we got the most dedicated collab of all, which is a Star Wars season in VR, and it's come a long way. This has more items than we could have ever imagined, converting the entire loot pool into blasters and sabers, alongside giving us the chance to fly X-Wings and TIE Fighters. We never imagined this would actually come true. We were used to having TIE Fighter gliders instead. It's just a massive upgrade to be able to actually fly them around like a Stormwing. These are reminders of how Fortnite is constantly evolving, especially when it comes to the return of live events. At the end of this month, we'll have our first mid-chapter live event in years. Previously, they were just finales, and everyone could see them coming from a mile away. In fact, the last finale was just a concert with no real storyline behind it. Well, the Star Wars Showdown means we'll have a full-scale event in the middle of the year, and it's the first time this has happened since Collision all the way back in Chapter 3. You could argue that over the years, Fortnite has technically downgraded live events, and while that's true, it does mean the return to tradition is also technically an upgrade. I also think we could all agree that the reboot system has been one of the best evolutions in Fortnite, and I'm not talking about the change to spawning through a rift either. That's a good change, but for the longest time we have been desperate for some kind of overhaul, and this year we got it. You can now buy cards back from the van if grabbing them in battle was too dangerous or far away, so that means if you have the gold, you can pick up any teammate you want, and even spend a little extra on giving them a better loadout when they spawn. And personally, I love how Fortnite has changed the rewards for defeating bosses. Remix introduced the brand new feature, which is recruiting them to your team. It was pretty crazy to have Snoop Dogg or Eminem help fight alongside you and even revive you. But then Fortnite had one more trick up their sleeve. Fast forward to the present day with the Star Wars season, and players who defeat Vader not only get trained by him and given a lightsaber, but then he joins the squad and talks to you for the whole game. It's crazy.
You stupid.
I grow weary of your insolence. Nick A30.
What? It's not the only time Star Wars came back with the crazy feature, because we now have our own custom Mandalorian. Obviously, some people will prefer the original since it's the Din Djarin from the series and you can customize his Beskar. But the new one lets fans recreate characters we don't have yet, like Jango Fett or even a close version of Mando if they missed the Battle Pass. And if you're not recreating ones from the franchise, you can still make your own with over 96 billion different combinations. It's definitely an upgrade. What about another item that got a huge upgrade just last season? Fortnite's consumables have evolved a lot over the years, from just bandages and medkits to using a literal living water sprite to restore your health. But one of the best items they've added was the Med Mist. Introduced in Chapter 3 and players instantly loved it, being able to heal on the go, save for later, even share with the squad. Most players forgot that this actually got an upgrade. It was turned into a grenade for Lawless, which gave a huge boost in healing for your entire team at once, also providing a cover of smoke. Now sadly, that is vaulted, but hopefully we'll see it back soon in this new form. It's also impossible to talk about Fortnite's biggest changes without mentioning them winning a 5-year-long battle. Since 2020, Tim Sweeney has been fighting Apple on their unfair store practices to stop the 30% cut they take from purchases. They got banned from the App Store because of it, but after 1,740 days, it is finally back on iOS, giving mobile players the craziest jump in evolution ever. Like, they went from the flood season in Chapter 2 to a full Star Wars collab in Chapter 6, and now if you download it today, you even get a free skin. Chapter 6 has seen the craziest evolutions, so like take a look at Season 1. We had a Godzilla portal that would let you become the kaiju and wreak havoc all over the map. Now, that idea has become something else, the Star Destroyer. In the next update of the Star Wars season, players can enter a portal and take control of a ship's turbo laser to just decimate enemies. If that power kind of feels familiar, that's because this kind of feature actually evolved from something in Chapter 1. It was Fortnite's very first collab, Thanos. Whoever was first in the Infinity Gauntlet would become the Mad Titan with a bunch of abilities, and it was so good Epic even redid it years later with Dr. Doom. I will say, even the most creative items get reworked to be better. In last resort, players praised Epic for making one of the best mobility items we had ever seen, the rocket ram. Super fun to use, broke through any building, but they have now managed to take it to the next level. Lawless gave us 2.0, the rocket drill, a brand new version that had more control, 2 abilities, and could even be used as a weapon up close. We got to try them out side by side, and the difference was obvious. The drill cleared the ram by a long shot. People also overlook one of the most consumer-friendly changes Epic has ever made. When they announced multiple passes, players started feeling overwhelmed with so many things to buy and keep up with, but they had the perfect answer. From now on, a crew subscription would grant you every pass in the game, all for the same price, and that's not even the best part. Whether you were subscribed or not, they made it so all modes grant XP universally on every pass at once. So gone are the days of playing Lego to earn studs or Festival to earn music points. Now you can play anything you want and progress everything with less stress. It is hard to believe we had no enemy NPCs on the map in Chapter 1, with the first being added as late as the Spy season. At the time, it was pretty crazy to fight a boss and their guards to get the mythics and access to the vault, but Epic knew it would get old fast. So slowly but surely, they were upgraded. Nowadays, they're not just a normal AI that shoots a standard weapon at you, but they have their own abilities, movesets, even waves. I mean, fighting enemies like the Night Rose or Shogun X, it just feels like another game at some times. The same goes for driving vehicles now. Did you know when the game began, Epic were originally intent that there would be none, and instead focused on more original ideas like shopping carts or ATKs. But as the years went on, we finally got more types, including cars like the sedan, whiplash, and trucks. Those didn't stop there. Unlike other vehicles that get vaulted, these came to stay, and now you can apply bodies and skins to them, meaning you could drive anything from a Lamborghini to a McLaren, and even pop culture cars like the Incredibile. Iron Man has a supercar now, but a better mode of transport was his own suit. The first time we got him in the game, Tony gave us the Repulsor and Unibeam Mythics, some insanely powerful items, like you could hover, lock on enemies, blast their builds, but never really fly, and that's what we all wanted. Then we got the second Marvel season, and Epic fixed it. This time around, the Unibeam and Repulsors were combined into one, which is already an upgrade. Then, if you wanted to fly, you could pick up a flight pack, and finally, we could shoot around the sky as Iron Man. It was insane. The next tier up for Mythics is Exotics, and Fortnite went all out making these for the crime season. Finally, there's a brand new change to vaults, not only requiring you to break them open instead of using a card, but we also got Dill Bits. This was more revolutionary than people realized because it meant you no longer had to land somewhere to get a special item. Instead, you could grab them from any vault or server farm and then spend them at black markets on anything you choose, a change players love to see. In fact, some upgrades we take for granted. Wrecked was one of those seasons that completely divided the player base. You either loved it or hated it. But it also gave us a brand new mechanic we still use today. Before, repairing vehicles would mean finding a repair torch or even trying a campfire. And fuel? You'd have to get out and top it off at a pump. Obviously, in a fast-paced season like Wrecked, it just wouldn't work out, so they placed repair pads at every station, and they are still in Chapter 6. It's a small quality of life change that makes using vehicles so much easier. It is also easier than ever to save money playing the game. Now sure, there's an insane collab every week ready to drain our wallets, but at its core, Fortnite is still free to play. Back in the day, this meant cosmetics were a premium, and they would give out a back bling or a pickaxe, but never a skin until Chapter 2. That's when we got Winterfest and our first ever free outfits, a tradition that remained every year. And since then, Epic's generosity has only grown, giving us so many skins it is hard to count. Take right now, for example, there have been 8 free skins in the past couple of months. Whether it's earning XP to unlock Duplicate, or linking your account to a Stormtrooper, or even simply logging in mobile to get burn off. Like, default skins have practically gone extinct. Earlier, I mentioned how the black markets and Dill Bits improved the system, but the rewards were also better too. Instead of slightly adjusting weapons with thermal sight, fire, or trackers like the old ones, these items had unique abilities we had never seen before. Whether it's a Shockwave RPG or a Stink Sniper, these were some of the most fun we've had, not to mention how much chaos the Rift Launcher caused.
Bye, have a great time.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Yeah, boy.
What about the time Epic improved one item so much that people didn't even remember the original? The OG Black Panther ability just absorbed some damage before creating a kinetic blast, and I'll be honest, it wasn't great. Fast forward to Absolute Doom, and now we have the Vibranium Claws letting us slash, dash, even supercharge for unlimited sprint. While you can't go that fast while drinking shields, at least it's better than not moving at all. That's exactly how these things used to be. You couldn't walk around while popping a med kit or minis, and it would take until the end of the timer before applying to your health. Now it slowly increases over time, so if you cancel, you have still gained something. And I don't think anyone prefers the old Chug Jug that used the whole thing rather than applying 10 a second and saving what's left. It is finally worthy of that legendary status. And even though we got a whole Star Wars season, someone has got to recognize how much an upgrade these locations are compared to what came before. Previous events have given us some crashed ships, roadblocks, and at most like the cantina. Now we have got 3 whole POIs straight out of the franchise, and it's never felt more immersive. It has been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.